Well, good morning. Some real heavy woodblock printmaking work this morning. Second floor? No, we're on the first floor. We're on the first floor. The paper is out. Thank you very much. Thank you again, always for the reminder. I'm not always on it. This morning I took out 2 packages. Sulu-san is printing the first print of next year's subscription series, and she's also doing more of these for New Year's Image. So paper is out. Thank you. We're not on the second floor. It's clerical work this morning. We have to put a, can I see it? Where's the camera? This little stamp, it says Nenga, which means, well, New Year in simplest terms. Normally in Japan, people send what they call a Nengajo. It's an actual postcard. You can see the front and the back. It's open like a real postcard. When they're marked Nenga, the post office holds them. They don't deliver them. People are mailing them already. In fact, we're past the deadline. People mail them in advance, and the post office holds them back, and they deliver them on the first morning of the new year. We don't send a Nengajo. We make our prints on beautiful, nice washi, and that's too soft to just stick in the mail. So what we do, and I've been doing this for nearly 30 years now, over 30 years, is I prepare a print along with a little tiny letter and a stiff card, and it goes in the post. But if we just drop that in the mail, they would deliver it now. They wouldn't wait until January 1st. But if you stamp your letters, and you mail them at this time of year, if you stamp your letters with the term Nenga, and mail it at this time of year, they hold these back as well, and they put them with the other mail. So that goes, people in Japan will receive this January 1st. The overseas ones, of course, we're just going to dump in the post. We can't control delivery overseas. It's nothing to do with the Japanese postal system. But the domestic ones do get delivered January 1st. Although I have to say, I'm past the deadline now. The deadline was December the 25th. I think we're okay. I mean, the deadline is a nominal deadline, but I believe we're still okay for delivery. You're confused about where I am. I know I'm in the shop. I'm at the actual sales counter. This is where we stand looking at the customers. And I'm not doing any stamp licking. The staff has already put the stamps on the envelopes. And we do always use postage stamps. Our customers and friends and people all around the world really appreciate that. None of that Japanese, or whatever, the standard franking system. And what am I doing? Keep going here, just keep moving. So nothing horribly interesting going on this morning. I'm sorry, it's a job that has to do. I'm starting it now with the Japanese ones. And then the staff's going to take over. And we've got about 700 of these that have to be posted. And we haven't finished printing them all. We've got about half of them printed. We're just going to be working on it steadily over the next couple of weeks. So people overseas are not going to get these on January 1st as New Year cards, obviously. Whatever, a New Year's greeting. Japanese woodblock printmaking channel. Well, whatever, it shows our life, all the other stuff that goes on here. It's not all 100% carving and printing every day. This is Matazaki-san, one of the first craftsmen who helped me back in 1989. He's one of the two guys. Remember, I talked about it in that YouTube video, the beginnings video a while back. I mentioned I was going to a demonstration of woodblock printmaking. He's one of the two craftsmen that were there. But he's the first craftsman really I ever had a chance to speak to. Good news and bad news. And he was helpful. I learned a lot from him. The unfortunate part was that he really isn't a top-level craftsman. In the old days, workshops had different levels, and the workshop he came from, the Takagi workshop, specialized in printing small-scale stuff. They printed food wrappers and little envelopes and envelopes for printing and stuff like that. So he wasn't actually a real top-level craftsman, but it doesn't matter. He knew a whole lot more than I knew. So. This one, Sekine-san, he's actually gone. This is going to his wife, his family. He was one of the brush makers. He was the best, absolutely the best brush maker in town. I got another half a dozen brushes from him just a couple of months before he died. I didn't know he was dying, or we would have ordered a lot more. But, and we keep in touch with his wife, half for reasons of just past friendship, and half for totally venal reasons. We want to get some tools. We want to make our own brushes at some point along the line. And that lady has boxes and boxes full of tools. We've gone over to talk to her about this. And she basically said, not yet. Let me keep this stuff. But she didn't say no. She just said no yet. So we'll see. So we keep in touch with her every year. We get a New Year's card back from her as well, usually. This is Ayumi-san's mother. Parents of Ayumi-san who live up in Hokkaido. You know, Ayumi-san's whatever. Top printer's off having a baby right now, but is that an uppercase W on the way? It's a mistake, I know. Give me a break. It should have been lowercase, I know. Just whatever. I missed it. I don't want to move the computer to show you. Living with woodblock prints, and it should have been a lowercase W. Thanks, Ken. Actually, I've thought about it. If I have a minute, I think I can cut it down. I think I can chop it. I can cut it here and cut it here and move that top thing down. I don't know. I might make a mess of it. Or just order another letter from the guys, whatever. If I were Steve Jobs, we would never have put it in the wall. I would have exploded and made a scene and we wouldn't have done it. But we had no choice. I know it looks okay, but it's wrong. It bugs me. It's wrong. What am I doing? I gotta be careful what I'm doing here. Put the wrong note in the wrong package. Upside down. Disaster. Yep, skip this one. I'm going to skip some of these ones. I know there's a custom in Japan, of course, of sending these New Year's cards, but there's more than one custom associated with this. And it turns out that if there's been a death in your family during any given year, then you yourself don't send out New Year's cards the next January. New Year's cards, they usually say, Shinnen omedetou gozaimasu, congratulations. It's supposed to be a happy, 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 happy feeling. And if somebody in your family has passed away, you don't want to do this. So the custom is, you don't send them out. But what you also do, and this is strange to me, a month or so, or 2 months before the end of the year, you send out a postcard. I've got one here, hang on a second. you yourself, you send out an advanced postcard, and it's got to be black border and stuff like this. And when people get it, they realize, oops, one of my acquaintances has had a fatality, you know, granddad's died or something like this. And this is from Miyagawa-san, the guy who's been doing our block planning for the last little while. And he's mentioning us that his father passed away earlier in the year at the age 83, quietly, blah, 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 blah. Just a little quiet note to let us know that somebody in the family has passed away. So we don't send a New Year card to him. So he simply opts out of the whole system this time round. And you got to be careful about that. I've received 2 of these cards this year. One from Miyagawa-san, excuse me, and one from Numabe-san. So you got to be careful not to send a New Year's card, greeting card to these people. And whatever, if I forget and did it, they're going to be okay. Whatever, Dave's a foreigner, he doesn't get it, all that stuff, whatever. So, you know, it's no big giant tragedy. But the cultural rule is, please, sort of try and avoid sending a New Year's card to the people whom you received a message from. And I don't follow this myself. You know, my father passed away 2 years ago. And for us, when we had 700 people to keep in touch with, not to send a New Year's card to those 700 people, none of whom knew my father. So I didn't follow this tradition. And there might have been some people here in Japan who didn't know my family well enough to know about that event. They thought, why is David sending a New Year's card? Congratulations, Happy New Year, you know. But I think, you know, it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, just that is, but I've got to be careful. I do follow it on this end, sending them out. And there will be 2 or 3 people here, too, that I can remember that I won't be sending New Year's cards to. This is a fun one. This is Yoshimi-san. She runs the cooking school down the street from us here. She opened her cooking school like a few months before we opened this shop. Not a cooking school, a cooking class for foreigners. You know. And it's got to be the best one in Tokyo. I haven't been to them all, I don't know, but just going by the reputation we hear and what we go around and the people I've met who run these things, it's a great, great, great place. And she's got some real handicaps. And we're a little bit more savvy with the net than she is. She's pretty good. She's got a Facebook page and she does video and stuff like that. She's pretty savvy on the net, but we're a little bit up on her. And the year that she and I both opened our business, we got in touch with many, many travel guidebooks and stuff like that, including Lonely Planet. And Lonely Planet covered us. There's a certain number of things they can do in this area because you know, they've got a limited number of pages in their guidebook, and there's whatever, 2 pages for Asakusa or something. And we're in there, and they didn't choose her, and she's not in there. And she and I have a sort of a, you know, whatever. We're friends. We're good friends. We really like each other. But because we got chosen and she didn't, it's really, really affected our business. It's helped our business hugely. And she's had to struggle a bit because she didn't get in any of the main guidebooks. You know. She's such a nice lady. We've put her stuff on our webpage, and you know, a lot of people book her party in the morning, her cooking class in the morning, and then come here in the afternoon. So we hear lots of reviews. You know, not every day, that's an exaggeration, but whatever, weekly we hear reviews. People who have been to her class and come here, and they're always hugely, hugely, hugely enthusiastic. So if you are here, coming to Mokuhankan, wherever, please consider, go to it's the Tokyo Asakusa Kitchen, or the Tokyo Kitchen Asakusa, or whatever it's called. And the other thing is, she doesn't live here in Tokyo. She lives out in Odawara, which is like 45 minutes away on the Shinkansen. If she tried to go by regular trains, it would be like, whatever, 2 hours. She comes in every morning to do the thing, and then after it's finished and the people have had their lunch, bang, she packs up and goes home. She's got kids in daycare center, 2 little kids. So she dumps them in the daycare center, puts them in the daycare center first in the morning, grabs the Shinkansen train, zips to Tokyo, does the session and goes home. So if there's 6 people in the class, she can pay for it, pays for her train fare, the daycare, and all that kind of stuff. But if only one person has booked a session, she's got to do it, and she loses money on it. So in the tourist season, I think she's doing really okay. But on the other part of the year, what am I doing? Be careful. Hey. Girl in Bath, it's bubbled up nearly now to the top of my list of things to do. Somebody's asking here about the Girl in Bath, Brent, and it's been just simply, I'm sorry, it's been postponed and postponed and postponed because other stuff has just had more priority. But it's quite possible now that over the new year that I will be doing a batch of printing on that myself. I'm not going to 100% promise you this, but Cameron has made a little list for me of things to take care of over the new year. And the Girl in Bath is very high on that list, so it might be coming up now within the next couple of weeks, yes. It's tricky to print. It's really, really simple, but it's too simple, and the kids without too much experience here have really had trouble doing it. When I did it last year, the first print off the blocks looks beautiful, and it was beautiful, but every single person here has still struggled with trying to do it. And it's just been a priority job. Rather than sit and coach them and try and do it, we've just moved on to other work. How much does one of her classes cost? What are you talking about? Oh, the cooking classes. I don't know. 6,000 yen, 7,000 yen, something like that. I really don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have a website here handy. If you look up Tokyo Kitchen Asakusa, Google those terms. She's got a nice webpage showing what's going on. And I don't know how much it costs, but it's worth it. It's absolutely, absolutely worth it. She's so good at this. She's a fun, happy person. The sessions are not didactical at all. They're just fun. And she gives you recipe cards to take home with ingredients that you can find back home. So you can, whatever you learned in the class, you can show your friends back home. Oh, and the Patreon blow up. I really haven't. I tried to Google that yesterday because we've had one. I got a letter from one of the Patreon subscribers, Patreon supporters. What's the word? Subscribers? Patreons. And he mentioned that there'd been quite a blow up on a big event happening on Patreon with discriminations and whatever. And he said he was leaving the platform. He said, is there any other way I can support you? Because he's got no beef against me, but he can no longer stay with Patreon. There's been one so far that I've heard about. Now, it could be at the end of every month, the way it goes on Patreon is we get a drop. There's a dozen or so people leave every month when they get the letter that says we're about to take the money from your bank account. And then it builds up again during the month. This is a normal sawtooth pattern to the Patreon support. This month it might drop a lot. I don't know. I haven't really had time to go and dig into this. I don't think it really affects us too much. Yeah, we are Asakusa Tokyo Kitchen. That must be her. Thank you. I mean, just do that if you're here. Do her in the morning. Book a party with us in the afternoon. The 1 o'clock party might be a bit too early, 1 o'clock or the 2:30 party. And that'll give you a great, great day in Asakusa. Have you been watching this? Have I been putting prints in, or have I just been folding a letter and putting them in the envelopes? I think I've been okay, right? Have you catch me if you notice that I don't put a print? Please say something. I think I do. It goes like this. Then the stiffener. If there was no print, I think I'd notice it. I don't know how many prints there are. I can't count the prints. I don't know how many to start with, so counting what's left won't tell me anything. This next one, this is our accountant, our tax accountant. I have mixed feelings about them. They're helping us, whatever. They're doing the part of our accounting that we can't do ourselves. You need professionals to do the tax part of it, you know. We do all the bookkeeping end of it. We control the money coming in, the money going out. We keep great records. It's not shoebox accounting here. At the end of the year, we send files to these guys that are picture perfect files. So they have no difficulty with what we do. But the thing is, they don't want our business. They're a tax company that works usually with giant corporations or whatever, I don't know, medium-sized businesses, not little people like us. They don't work with Toy or something like that, but they work with, you know, whatever, big businesses with hundreds of employees. That's their normal Dave, did I write something? What did I do? Yes. But they don't want our business. The only reason they're doing this for us is back in, it'll be about 2003 or 2004 or something, the Japanese tax laws changed. And before that time, I had been a really, really small business, and I was under the radar for the local consumption tax. The Japanese tax system has a very curious aspect. They really try and make it friendly for little family businesses. And basically, family businesses don't have to pay the consumption tax. They receive it from their customers, but they don't have to send it to the government. It's sort of a little bonus for small businesses. It's to try and help maintain the local communities, so that big box stores and stuff don't destroy the whole community. I'm with this. I'm on board with this. But it turns out that by that year, 2003, my business grew enough that I crossed the barrier out of that safety zone, and I needed to make reports of consumption tax to the government every year. It's common sense. Anyway, for me, that was a bit too difficult to do by myself. I can do my own income tax stuff, but doing the consumption tax for a business, making reports for a business, involved too many complicated forms that I didn't understand. So I needed the help of a tax accountant. So I asked one of my customers, one of my clients, it was a local businessman, the guy who he's long dead now, his company made cardboard boxes. I was using those cardboard boxes to ship my prints out. So I asked him, what should I do? You got any advice? He says, oh, no problem, I'll tee up with my guy. And while I'm sitting in his office, he made a phone call to his tax company and said, hey, here, got one of my friends here, Dave Bull, he's making woodblock prints. I want you to take care of his taxes for him. And I can hear one side of the conversation, and the guy must have said something about, what's the level of business per year? He asks me, and I say it's about $100,000. So they said back, no, sir, we don't deal with clients that small. And he said, come on, it's a good friend of mine, come on. And he put the twist on it. He twisted their arm, and they agreed to do it. So I absolutely am their smallest business, their smallest client. They don't normally deal with people like me. And because of that, they don't pay any attention to us. I send in my data, they just scan it into their computer, spits out the tax forms, and away they go. But we are now growing to a level where we need tax advice. We need good advice. We need good tax advice. And I learned about this about 4 years ago. And he really cost us some money. They really, really cost us a ton of money. What's happening is, our business is mostly overseas. And there's a real quirk about overseas business. Normally here in Japan, there's consumption tax on everything. So for example, when I buy my products, when I buy the washi paper to make prints with, I pay the consumption tax. On the wholesale price, I'm buying the washi paper, I pay consumption tax. I make products with it, sell the prints, charge consumption tax. Now the prints are more expensive than the washi, so I receive more consumption tax than I have paid. Of course, this is the normal way of business. It just cascades down the line. So what you do for normal business is you calculate how much consumption tax you've paid during the year on your products. Then you add up how much you receive from your customers. You deduct the amount that you've paid and you send the rest to the government. So if you've paid 5 to your suppliers, you're receiving 10 from your customers, you keep the 5 and you send the remaining 5 to the government. So the consumers at the end of the day are not double taxed on this. Sensible system. Our problem is almost all of our sales are overseas. So we don't receive consumption tax from our customers. So I've paid huge amounts of consumption tax to my suppliers for everything we do. For all of our costs, everything I buy is taxed, but I don't receive any tax back from my customers. Now it turns out the government and the tax agency is on this, and there's relief for this. What we do is I just show all these data with my consumption tax report, and they refund me the consumption tax that I've paid based on the percentage of my sales that go overseas. And we sent 97% of our sales last year overseas or tax-free in the shop. So I got back 97% of the consumption tax that I had paid in the previous year. This is happening to me now, but the thing is my tax accountant wasn't on this. So for all the years I've been dealing with him, all the years I've been sending prints and stuff overseas, I never got these refunds because either he didn't know about it or he didn't bother to look at it and tell me. And I only found out about it about 5 years ago or so because I'd read about it, some newspaper story. And I'm like, what? I go show him the story and he says, oh yeah, we should be doing that, shouldn't we? And I'm like, face palm. So I said, okay, let's do it this year. And he said, well, no, unfortunately, you have to register with this 2 years in advance. And then after 2 years, you start to get it back. And I'm like, what? Anyway, we did register. So he cost me thousands and thousands of dollars per year. This is Matsumura-san, the guy who has the tool supply company. We don't really buy tools from him. We used to buy wood from him, but we don't anymore. We make our own wood now. So we don't have many direct dealings with Matsumura-san. We're sending him a ton of business because almost on a daily basis, we keep his catalog right here under the counter. And almost on a daily basis, people ask us, where can we get tools and supplies? And we send them over to Matsumura-san. So I think he gets a ton of business from us. I think he's happy about it, who knows, whatever. But we ourselves, we don't, there's nothing that he has that we buy these days. What's next? Kanai-san, one of our printers. They're all mixed up. This is the local Japanese. I've got 600 addresses overseas, and I've got 60 or so addresses within Japan. I'm not going to do 700 of these today. I'm just going to do the Japanese ones this morning. And then I've got to get busy on a printing party at 10 o'clock. And the rest of the staff here is going to start doing these bit by bit over the next couple of weeks. And many of you watching, your name is in this stack, I guess. If you've been buying stuff from us this year, or if you're a subscriber. You could check the weight of the envelopes to see if I put a print in them. I'm not sure if I can do that. Well, whatever, exactly. The card is quite heavy and the print is extremely light. So I guess it could do if we've got a scale that shows 1 gram or 2 grams. I don't know, that'll be close, but yes. Or rewatch the stream. Yes, just watch the whole stream looking for empty envelopes. Thanks a lot. That's why you're there. Who's next? These are staff. Next two here are staff members. We got a couple of reservations for print parties yesterday, and it closed off the parties for the year. We are now sold out of parties. Today's what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We are now totally sold out. Every party block is now gone. And the last party, we're closing the parties on Tuesday morning. We're not having parties Tuesday afternoon, New Year's Eve. We're finishing the last party on Tuesday morning. And the last party has turned out to be a fun one. It's 2 people and 2 people. And the first 2 people who booked it, they said, it's our 3rd time coming for a print party. Is there a new print on the table? And we said, yes, indeed. We indeed have a new print. Don't worry about it. No Peach Boy for us. It's all long gone. And there was space left for 2 people. And just last night, 2 people booked in. And they did one of the very first print parties 4 years ago. Not the very first one, but they were here within a few days of us opening, a young couple from Hong Kong. And this is their 4th time back. They just keep coming every year. They come back to Japan every year, and they book for a print party every year. And he said, do you have something new? And I said, yes, we have something new. So the last party of the year, Tuesday morning, is going to be 2 repeaters, people who've come here a long time before, and they're going to do the microwave. It's going to be good fun, good fun, good fun. I think I might go and get a bottle of something to see. Well, staff members here, they do make their own New Year's cards. Personally, they make their own New Year's cards. I get them from the staff members. New Year's cards like this are not just something that businesses send to Japan. You know, it's kind of dying in recent years, I guess. It used to be a really, really big thing. Every family and every business did these. And you'd get a stack of them in the mornings. January 1st, I used to get just a stack of these things. But it's really decreased in recent years. And of course, the other thing about these things, what used to be is many, many people, huge number of people, made them with woodblock printing. Even people doing it as a hobby. They'd go to the local, little craft shop or 100 yen shop, dollar shop, whatever, get little pieces of wood and little small carving sets for them. And they still sell them. Over here in the 100 yen shop near here, they've got a corner right now full of stuff ready for people to make their own New Year's card. It was woodblock printing. Then it switched to something called print gokko. There was a deal, it was a little kind of a silk screen thing where you put a flash bulb in, you do a sketch and you did pachink, and it made a little screen for you. And it was a boom. This was in the 1980s, I guess, 80s and early 90s. Print gokko was the big deal. And now, of course, that's all been totally blown away. People just use inkjet printers. They do something on their phone. They've got a special thing that adds up, puts the decorations on, and inkjet it out. And all the convenience stores, there's a color printer in all the convenience stores. You take your phone, get your file ready, tap the thing, and it prints out from the color copier in the convenience store, even if you don't have an inkjet printer in your house. So the number of people now making woodblock printed New Year's cards has shrunk to a tiny, 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 tiny fraction. But for us, we have no choice. We're a woodblock studio. We're going to send an inkjet printed New Year card. Can't do that. And it's become, I can't say burden, that's the wrong word, because you guys are listening to me, some of you guys are going to get one, so I can't say it's a burden. But we have to send a hand-printed New Year card. 700 of them. This is costing me, close your ears, gentlemen, this cost me about $7,000 each year to do this, to pay the printers, to buy the washi. I carved it myself, I don't have to pay a carver. Postage and everything else, it costs about $7,000. So is it an obligation? Yes, but it's also fun, so who cares? It's part of what we do. Not quite 7, I think it's 6 something. Postage, paper, and I gotta pay the printers, and you can't skimp on printers. Even though it's a quick, fast job for them, they still have to get paid. So. No, not everybody who bought something from us. And if somebody ordered a gift print, they got a 3,000 yen single card about like this, I can't give another free print for somebody who bought just one print from us. So we've got, we've just set a line. It's kind of arbitrary, but we set a line. And the line is the level of a Great Wave print. Either a Great Wave and up, or a subscription, or a selection of smaller stuff during the year. And our software just goes through and draws a line. And anybody, it's about $135. Anybody who has bought the 135 or more from us during the year, their name has printed out onto these lists automatically. And it's arbitrary, I know, I'm sorry, but we can't. Like I said, this is a huge cost for us, so we've sort of drawn that line. The other day, so we were having a staff meeting talking about stuff, and the suggestion came up that we should make this part of our promotion. Buy something from, woodblock.com, mokohankan.com, whatever. If you buy more than 135 during the year, you get a free card and stuff. And I do not want to do that. I don't want to make this into that kind of a thing. I don't know. A free present if you buy something. I don't want to say this stuff like that. So this is just a gesture from us to people who have supported our work at a certain level. Patreons, of course, the Patreons book in for this. Anybody at the Patreon, what is it, the 10 level and up? Of course, they are getting one. The letter will be different. The letter for the Patreon people will be a different note. But I've got staff here. I've got no idea. There's hundreds of them. And those people, I don't really know most of those people. I don't know their names. So it's fake to write a personal message. But they will get a message inside from the company here as a... I'm not keeping up with what you're writing. I'm trying to keep. Ken, go back to bed, okay? The carving royalty thing is fun, This is, at the moment, this is a proprietorship. I cannot legally pay myself here. It's not the way a proprietorship works. All the income, everything anybody buys is my personal income, goes into my wallet. All the costs, our staff, are personal expenses of mine. I pay them. So I myself can't get paid. The way the tax thing works is at the end of the year, income minus expenses equals Dave's personal income, on which I then pay personal income tax. So we can't calculate this. We can't say Dave is going to get paid 8% carving royalty for each block, each print sold from blocks that he did. I can't do that. But the plan for the future is when Mokohankan becomes a company, becomes a corporation, the corporation has its own profit and pays its own taxes, and I then become an employee of the corporation, the company. And I'll be one of the carvers. There's 3 other carvers, Kawasaki-san, John-san, and Yumi-san. And I'll be one of the carvers. And at that point, I will then get paid a carving royalty. And I'm looking forward to that day. Because all the prints in our David's Choice section, most of the Ukiyo-e heroes, the first 9 or 10 of those, many of the prints that we put out of the David's Choice stuff is mostly all carved by me. I will then get 8% of the retail price of every print that's sold from blocks that I carved. And that will be then my personal income, which I have to eat from and then pay taxes on at the end of the year. Who's next? But at the moment, I can't get paid for the carving. It's not legally possible. Random tech company. Well, we're not some random tech company, Whatever. What's the stamp? I know you know the deal here. Every package we send out is always done with actual nice stamps, commemorative stamps. The girls pick, pop culture related ones where they are. The current stamp here, it's not so interesting. It's nice and decorative. It's one of the commemorative stamps for the Meiji Restoration. This year is 150 years since the start of Meiji. What we're doing, this is for domestic. For the overseas ones, let me get a sample here. $600 freaking envelopes already pre-stamped. The girls have been working on this for weeks over a moment. And the overseas ones, there's 3 or 4 types. What there is, oh, look at this. I didn't know this is what they were doing. Can you see it? It's a bit too dark. You see it? It's some kind of animal. Is that a flower of some kind? This is some kind of Japanese animal. And give me a break. Give me a break. What have they found? There's a surfer at the bottom. What's happened? What's this supposed to be in commemoration of? I think it's a guy surfing under the wave. I don't know. I have no idea what this is. I've never seen this before. Can you see what it is? I can't quite see myself here. So it looks, I don't know if that's what's on all of them. There's 700 or 600 of these things. Let's see. That's one batch. Another batch. But it looks like they're all the same. Oh, no, they're different. There's another batch. They've taken the red Fuji. There's a plane flying by in the background or something. So there must be some, they've taken some group of Hokusai famous designs and modernized them. I didn't know about this. People are going to enjoy the stamps more than they enjoy the card inside. Anyway, it's going to be a while before they're on the way, you know, because we're just going to chew through this bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. We still haven't got all the prints. We're about halfway through printing the prints. So if you do think you're on these lists, please have patience, because it's not going to get there by January 1st, absolutely. I can't pay, how am I allowed to make gains on them? No, I can't do anything. I know. It's really a huge problem for this business, actually. You know, it's the financing too is a huge problem. We can't finance the business because it's a proprietorship. We really need to become a company, corporation, so we can do things like borrow money, try and borrow money, whatever, for doing a new ventures and stuff like this. Our business is really handicapped at the moment by being a proprietorship. And we have to turn it into a company, a corporation, and we have to do that real soon. And then we have a real problem: who owns the company? Because I don't want to own this place. And the next I'm 67. You know, I'm leaving at some point. Not all that soon, I hope, but I will be leaving. My daughters don't want to be involved with this thing. It's just a burden for them. They can't own and run a woodblock print shop. They're in a different part of the world. They've got their own businesses. So if we become a company who owns it, the first idea that comes up is make it into an employee-owned co-op and stuff like that. And that doesn't really exist here in Japan. Theoretically it is, but it's just next to impossible to actually make it happen. And also, when I've teased the idea out here, none, and I mean none, not one of those people wants to be involved with that, the employees. They don't want to be part owners of this. So just turning it into a company just pushes the problem a little bit farther down the road. I don't know what to do with it. So. What I would like to do is make it become a company, have shares and stuff, and I would like to do it in a way that people like you guys have the shares. Now okay, so become a public company. We can't become a public company. My God, New York, Tokyo Stock Exchange. I mean, this just doesn't work like it. You've got to have, you know, way more revenue before you can do that sort of thing. But I'd like to have the thing owned by shareholders, but by the people who had a stake in the business, the customers. I'd like the customers to own the place in a way. There's no legal structure to really do that yet. Jim, what am I doing here? Be careful, to show me this. I show the current print I'm sending. Sorry. This is the print we made This is the print I carved during that long stream the other day, a 4-hour stream. It's a very, very simple little print. It's come up very nicely. It's got good little feeling and texture on the paper. It's just simple, nothing dramatic. It's just the kind of thing I really like doing myself. Just simple, pleasant prints that are fun to touch and feel and hold and eat. Not eat, but you know what I mean. What am I doing? Prints inside. Height. Oh, also there's something else too. This is a step forward for us. Or step forward. It's a step for us. Those of you who've been watching these streams and talking about the paper, the washi paper. The two stories at the same time. The New Year's prints these days, the ones I'm doing right now, these are not Iwano-san paper. This is paper from Corso, from Sawaki-san, the new guy who has been testing and trying to make nice paper for us. And he, nice paper, no chitty, beautifully smooth surface, nice impression. We are getting there with our new type of paper. We're not fully there yet. We couldn't make the first print of next year's subscription series. We couldn't make this print on this paper yet. It doesn't have the depth to do that rich overprinting. But we are getting there. We are getting there. This is the first print to leave our building made on the new paper from Sawaki-san. It's our first major test of this stuff. Yeah, I cheated, right? There's another block. I had really thought it would be okay, but it wasn't. It was just too boring. It looked like it wasn't finished, so I added another block later. There's really no intent to cheat, so I'm sorry. Just whatever. You're finished when you're finished, and you keep going until you're finished. So. Yeah, the question of management and ownership and leadership, two different things there. Ownership and leadership are two totally different concepts. And right now, the whole thing is all wrapped up in this body here. I own the place and I lead the place. And I'm leaving, so both of those things have to be taken care of for the future. And ownership, it can be handled. You become a company, there's shares. Who owns the shares doesn't have to be me. And in fact, even if I did have the shares, when I die, the shares automatically become owned by somebody else. So once you become a company, the ownership is sort of sorted out. But leadership is a different problem. Who's going to lead this place when I'm gone? And it's still an open question. I would like to have a team in place here that was competent enough and large enough so that as people switched in and switched out, there was still a company culture that moved forward without me. And we're nowhere near that yet. And that really actually is the goal for me over the next few years. Rather than worry too much about the ownership, it's the creation of a company culture and growing this place to a large enough state that the employee thing is stable. And we're still nowhere near that. I hear footsteps on the stairs. It must be Sugu-san going upstairs. One day Dei-chan will own the business, you know. Don't tell her. The only thing is, there's good news and bad news about Dei-chan. She came to me yesterday. It was her last day of the year yesterday. She's off for the Christmas holidays, and then she'll be back next year. And almost basically, don't panic about this, but she's really sort of quit. She's not leaving totally. We knew this. She's a high school student. She's getting ready for college preparation. And she said she has a real problem, the commuting time. She's an hour and a half away, so it's 3 hours commuting each day. And this is eating into her studying time. And already, because she's a high school student, she's already spending a lot of time here away from her studying. I guess her dad is getting a bit iffy, and maybe her school teachers are getting to give it iffy. And she says, Dave, we have to dial this down. She loves being here. She likes being here. She's really having a ton of fun. But she is, at the end of the day, she's a high school student who is preparing for college. And of course, there's, get smart. That has to take priority. So, we told her, of course, Raychan, it's a 100% open offer here. You can come once a year, or you can come 365 days a year. It's up to you. We love you. We want you here. You're doing a really good job. Just let me know. Just keep me in touch with what's going on, and you can do as much as you want in this place. And we even did joke about it. She wants to be a doctor. We said, when you've realized that being a doctor is not so much fun, come back here and run this place. And she knew I said it as a joke, but she knew also that there's more, that the undercurrent wasn't a joke, that we're serious and we like her very much. So nothing else I can do. Nothing else I can do. You mentioned grandsons, honestly speaking, no. And if it turned out that one of my family did become interested, of course, in you come, let's go for it. If it did go that way. The history shows the other way around. And I've got plans and notes for a David's Choice video at some point talking about this. There's 5 woodblock print companies through the 20th century that were started by a person and that were passed down to the family. It's Watanabe is the best example. Watanabe in the Ginza. They were founded by Sho Zaburo Watanabe. The Adachi company was started by Adachi Toyohisa. These people are long, long dead. This is early 20th century stuff. The Takamizawa Yuyudo thing, Takamizawa Enji. There's who else was it? It was 5 Doi Hanga company started by Doi Sadaichi. Who's the 5th one? I can't remember. I had a list ready. Takamizawa, Adachi, Doi, Yuyudo. Mental blank. Anyway, there's a 5th company. They were all really, really super strong. They made fabulous, drop-dead, gorgeous woodblock prints. Among the best woodblock prints that have ever been created by the hand of man were created by men working under the guidance of these 5 men who had a fabulous vision and who pushed the vision and put wonderful prints out into the world. And all 5 of those companies now are either gone or they're a hollow shell of what they were because they didn't communicate the vision. They were all taken over by relatives, sons or relatives. Every one of those 5 companies passed down through the family. And it was rags to rags in like 2 generations. The family who took over didn't share the vision that the first guy had had. The current prints made by Adachi are whatever. I'm on live TV. I shouldn't talk about it. Whatever. So the idea that my grandson would take the business, whatever. If it works out, it works out. But unless he shared the vision, then it just doesn't work. Every single one of those woodblock companies didn't make it to the next generation in the same form that they were created as. I mean, the world in general talked about that a few years ago when Steve Jobs left the scene at Apple. There was a clear thing. That's it. Apple was Steve. Once Steve's gone, what happens to Apple? That discussion has been, going on for years. And I guess Steve, what he tried to do was create a culture that would work ongoing in the same way that he had created in the course. I guess that's sort of the goal for me. If I can do the same thing, if I can create a culture here that shares the ethics that I share and that shares the vision that I have, then in that case there's a chance for it to move forward into the future. Dave, you're not allowed to go. Oh, why didn't I think of that? My God, why didn't I think of that? in a sense, I'm not concerned about that future thing. After I'm gone, and don't misunderstand what I'm going to say, but so after I'm gone, I don't care. And what I mean about that is, when I have physically died, whether it's next year at 68 or at 98 or 108, whatever year it is, once I'm died, I will no longer exist, and I won't care about this because there won't be a David here to care. But even in advance of that, it won't be my decision to make. The thing I built here, I run it while I'm here. But once I'm gone, it's not my call. And the guy walked in, or Cameron's here, whatever. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he's the guy who's doing it. And it'll be his call or somebody else's call. And it's not mine to dictate what will happen at that point. So in that sense, I can say, I don't care. Now, we were talking about, I forget the conversation, how it started, the future, whatever. I forget how that stream started. But you can see what I'm doing here, sir.
Yeah. Wow.
What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do 700 of these today. I can't do 700. I'm going to do the Japanese group. In fact, I'm pretty much almost
there. Yeah, let's see here.
Because we're way behind the deadline. So these are going to go bang to the post office this morning, and then we're going to nibble on the Western ones.
Yeah.
And I've got an exception list.
Yeah.
On Japanese addresses, I've got an exception list which I seem to have lost. Well, there it is. Here it is. So we've missed some staff members, and so
okay.
It's not your work. No. So I'll try and cover those exceptions today, so we can get the Japanese part of this done.
Okay. Never seen you set up this way before.
Oh no, I've never done it. It was just too much. There was too much stuff for the carving guests.
Yeah.
I thought, whatever, just use this. But it means in a few minutes I've got to get out of the way here because there's a shop. But I'm trying to get the Japanese part finished here before shop hours. The problem now is I got a routine here. Look at the name, sign it, put the print in, look at the chat, try and talk to these guys for a minute, put it on the card. Yeah, the problem here, look, you'll see the problem in a minute. Put it on the card like this. Get the envelope, look at the chat, talk to the chat for a minute, do something with those guys, put it in, look at the chat, talk to somebody, put it back, sign and seal it, put it over, put the address on. And the big problem then is, just a sec, put the address on, stamp it, look at the chat for a minute, talk to those guys, come back here and put it like here and say, did I actually put a print in or did I just...
You did.
Oh, you did that because I was talking about it. And I guess at the beginning, so some of these guys have gone back to the beginning of the stream to look through and see if I
skipped any steps.
It's all your fault.
Oh, that's funny.
And I've missed half the chat, whatever. They're talking about camera now, obviously. So, do I know when I will be doing another carving stream?
Do you mean beginning to end carving or on the octopus carving? Because octopus is probably near future.
The octopus blocks are ready for test printing right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're finished that.
And I'll tell you, the next week and so now is going to be chaos. And once we're back in January, I will have new projects. I'll be printing stuff and carving stuff. But if you're new to the stream right now, please understand, the next few days of this stream are not our normal work. I'm doing crazy year-end work. We're going to be shut for 3 days, January 1, 2, 3. I'm just doing makeup work. I don't have steady craftsman's work over this next week. I got to do some Patreon chibi, so perhaps there'll be a printing stream tomorrow, the day after. So if you're new here, whatever, when will my next carving stream be? Next year, whatever, I don't know, So we should post on that on our... I got some emails, a flood of emails. I'm out of the office through the week, so I got dozens of them. So I just abandoned, didn't even go through the block. So you set it on automatic to throw
to go over early this morning.
I know Cameron's been working. We're using Mailchimp these days for doing our emails. We gave up on the little script I wrote because too many of the emails were being bounced back as spam, because they come from Asia, which is a real problem for spam filters in other parts of the world. So as many of you know already, we're using MailChimp. And Cameron, I guess you sent one out last night. Were you up last night or just you set a timer?
I set a timer for it. So maybe it was even early this morning. I don't know.
That's what I did.
But sometime when I was asleep.
And it is looking really good. Yeah, it's looking really good. The response to the new subscription series this year has been really wonderful. And a couple of things have shocked me, and I'm not quite sure what to think about these. One is that I don't know what the actual proportion is now over the night.
More than 2/3.
More than 2/3 of the people signing up for this thing are new people, not repeaters. So that's bad news that people don't want to repeat. They've given up on us. That's not so good news.
Right.
But of course, we're changing at least for this 1 year, we've changed the concept. It's not game characters right now. Yeah. It's more general interest. And that's how I made a living for 25 years. Subscription prints once a month of general interest. And it worked fine. Built my house, brought up my kids, sent them to college, all that kind of stuff. It worked.
Yeah.
And this year now, we're doing something similar. And the other surprising factor for me is the geographical distribution. I don't have an actual number on this, but it's been way over half of our subscribers have been people living in the United States of America or Canada, North America. Way over half, it's like 60 or 70% something.
Yeah.
And then maybe 20% for Europe or something, and then 10% scattered around Australia, Taiwan or whatever. And now we're way over half Europe. Based on the numbers you gave me yesterday, I don't know, I haven't seen last night's.
Yeah, it's much higher proportion than usual. Europe.
And that's interesting. There's a few ways it could be. At the moment, America is, if I look at my newspaper, America's pretty shaky right now. They're worried about, okay, is my job safe? Is the economy going to crash? American dollar's getting weaker, stuff like this. I don't know. So it could be people living in America at the moment are sitting tight saying, I think I'll wait to see what happens to Trump next month before I make a year full obligation. And that's quite possible. So I've been ignoring what this thing is now. This thing is rolling by. Have you visited the Ukioi Small Museum? If you mean the Ota Memorial, I don't get out there a lot, but it's a beautiful, beautiful little place. Dave, have I watched the annual Taiga drama series? I don't watch TV. Give me a
Doesn't
break.
have one. There's no TV in the building.
I don't have a TV, and I've never had a TV since I was like a little kid. Nothing. I just can't sit and watch stuff. I'm sorry.
That's what everyone here is doing right now.
Well, I guess I'm sorry, there's too many questions and stuff. Can Dave tell if somebody's new on the stream from his end of Twitch? Just the names, your username is coming in. If you post a lot of comments, I'll start to remember your name, so...
Just by recognition, there's no flag saying new person or hasn't commented much or something.
No, not at all. You can go upstairs and set your stuff, I guess, yeah. So. I don't.
See you guys.
Cameron's going to go get to work. There's a ton of mail. He did that mailing last night, so his mailbox is absolutely stuffed.
Yeah, I was looking at it on the training, and I got to sit down the whole way.
Oh, you must have looked, because there's a bunch of that have been read. So
about 15 news.
But this is the way it's going. Look at this. Here we are. Mokohankan's subscription request for the New Year's 852. That's 9:12 minutes ago. Another subscription request 852. The one before that 8:33. The one before that 7:41.
These are all ones that arrived while I was on the train. Yeah.
6:44, 6:28, 6:06. Oh my God, we are going to be
busy.
Sold. Oh no, we're going to have to think about drawing a line on this. It's possible. I know, don't get upset or whatever. It's possible we may have to draw a line on this and say, I'm sorry, subscriptions are closed for the first round.
Yeah.
Because our printers, if we had more printers, we could just open it up.
Right.
But we may have to close it for the first round and then send the blocks out to a Kanai-san printing or somewhere else and do a second round.
Who was it? Suka-san yesterday was asking, so how many subscribers do we have? And I told her the number, and she said, I think I need to print more, or something like that. So.
Well, we're going to be able to share among more printers.
Right, yeah.
And her print more, because it's a monthly thing.
Yeah. Oh no, it was more than she can do right now, is what it sounded like. So. But good, keeping everyone busy, I guess.
All right, again, sorry about the crap. I'm trying to, just a bit too many questions and stuff going on here. Have I visited some other? Do I speak Japanese? I get around to Japanese. I'm not totally literate reading and writing and stuff, but conversation and normal speech. When I hear my Japanese played back after watching a video or something of me, I'm upset about my pronunciation because I forget the basic rule of Japanese pronunciation: don't emphasize words. And with all the 60 years of speaking English, I still emphasize words in each sentence. And Japanese doesn't do that, and it's a very basic rule. And I keep forgetting it. I get excited, I start talking, and I emphasize words inside a sentence, and it makes my Japanese sound awful. I can't bear to listen to it sometimes. But anyway, yeah, I can communicate. I can get around in Japanese. I'm running a business. I own my property, you know. What software for streaming? I'm using OBS 20.0.1 for the Mac with a Handycam plugged in by HDMI into a USB video box, which is called Magewell. And the software is OBS, and I'm really enjoying the software. It's fabulous. I don't use a half of the facilities of it. So, someone saying, I didn't receive an email for the new subscription series. I'm not really sure. If you want to be on our mailing list to get emails about stuff, then drop us an email and ask Cameron to put your name on. In the middle of the Mystique series, yes, no, thanks. We're progressing with that one too. So, can you buy single subscription series? No, the prints in our subscription series, we make them in a batch. The business model for me to pay our printers involves having a steady income. The shop is up, the shop is down, the shop will be really down in January. It's going to be Death Valley in here. I need income for my printers, and we do that by having subscription series, which doesn't guarantee us because people can quit, but it makes my income stabilized. So we have this basic general rule. We do subscription prints only by subscriptions, not one at a time. I'm sorry. We have tons of individual prints for people that like those. But we don't break the subscription sets. I'm sorry. And many people ask us because there's a specific game or something that they like. It's also the price, you know, that first print in this next year's subscription series. We've set the price for the series at $45. But if we were making this as an individual item, putting it in the shop, when I'm costing out what the printers cost, that would be nearly double. That would be at least $80 here in the shop if it was a standard calculated cost plus expenses type of model. It's like when you buy a newspaper. You know, when you subscribe to the newspaper, they're 45 cents each, but when you buy it on the newsstand, it's $1.20. We would have to do it that way. In fact, this first one of the series has so many gradations, we're probably actually going to lose money on the first one, but it doesn't matter. It's a subscription model, and we have your business during the year. You know. So no, we don't break the sets. I'm sorry. Have I had any training for Japanese language? No, and it shows. I know I've learned my language just by doing it, and it shows. There's many words I don't know. There's things I can't recognize. Sometimes when people are speaking to me, I'm like, oh, what was that? So there's a huge number of holes in my Japanese ability because I've never trained for it. There's a certain number of hours in the day, and sitting in a Japanese language classroom is not a useful way for me to use my hours. I'm sorry. That sounds like a cop-out, but it really is true. I'm more useful to society with the work I'm doing here than if I were a better Japanese speaker. It's $45 a month, yes, $45 a month, plus postage. Postage is, I think, $3.50. Stream down, I'm okay, I think. This one is going to Sawaki, the guy who made the paper. And I have to remember, when I send the one to Iwano-san, I got to be really careful, because if I put in the wrong paper, we're going to get in trouble. Did I bang the microphone then? Sorry. Yeah, you don't need to worry about subscribing. And we have prints available. The cheapest way to get one of our prints is go to our gift page. We have prints at $30. $30 plus postage. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woodblock print. It's a nice way to get introduced to what these are like. That's the cheapest way to get into what we're doing. This one's going to Richard down in Kyoto, Richard Steiner. He's another printmaker. He's been here longer than me. I am not the oldest resident woodblock, foreign woodblock printmaker here in Japan. I'm number 3 in the ranking. Richard Steiner has been here longer than me. He came, I don't know what year, early 80s, I guess. He lives in Kyoto. He runs a school. He teaches printmaking more than making prints and selling them. His main, he does sell prints in galleries and stuff, but teaching is his main job. And he's got priority for me. And then the other guy, we passed him somewhere earlier here, David Stones. This one's funny. There's confusion about this quite a lot here. This is David Stones. He lives in Aichi Prefecture in Okazaki. His name is David. He's from Britain. He's got a white beard. He's here in Japan doing traditional woodblock printmaking. Japanese wife, which I had at one point. And he's been here longer than me. He's got priority. He lives in the countryside in a beautiful old house, a beautiful old farmhouse. They rented it and then gutted it down to the bones and rebuilt it. And a beautiful, beautiful environment. He's not so net savvy, so you've probably not even ever heard of him. I don't know. David Stones. If you Google it, David Stones woodblock prints, you'll see he's got a web page of sorts. He makes interesting, small-scale, attractive little prints, but he's not so savvy about social media. He's more private, so you've perhaps never heard of him. But he's been at it here longer than I have. I'm not married anymore. I've been a single man. I got divorced in 1993. 25 years, a quarter of a century, I've been a single guy. Quarter of a century, I've been single. My God. Quarter of a century. So we got a link for Dave's website. I don't think that's his website, but whatever. He has a website, but he doesn't even have his own domain name, so it's hard to understand from the link. Okay, we got about 4 or 5 of these left. And the timing is just right too, because the staff is going to start getting here in a few minutes. I'm going to have to clean up and get out of here. There's print parties top to bottom today, and I am the main host for the print parties today, because the staff were so short-handed at this time of the year. So we'll just run this out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go here, and then I'll pack this up and get on with my other work. The street is coming to life out there. That's a Sugihara-san up in Fukui. He's a paper wholesaler. He's doing a real good job promoting Japanese washi paper around the world. He's got Japanese, French fashion houses making dresses with washi and stuff. He's really a super promoter to help washi get set around the world. Oops. So we'll see, this is it for today. A few more here. What's going to be happening tomorrow? Today is Friday, till tomorrow, the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We've got 3 streams left this year. Not quite sure what the content's going to be, I'm sorry. It's going to be a mixed bag. As I said, I've got to do a little bit of printing upstairs, Patreon chibis. I'm not sure what the other streams will be. And maybe even, for example, I might get a day off or something, I'm sorry. So please understand for this end of the year season here, we can't do our regular program. Maybe it's the same as a normal TV station, right? At the end of the year too, they all do different stuff because their staff goes on holidays. They prepare junk programs in advance. So we'll see. Have patience with us over the next few days, and we'll see what we can do. Oh, somebody found Dave Stone's website? Good. It's a strange, he doesn't even have his own domain name, you know. Where can you get the template to make woodcuts? Shiba-san, good morning, good morning. Hima Live. Come and say hello. This is Shiba-san, she's sharing the work here today. Normally on Wednesday. You've seen this girl doing sizing with me. This is the Ninja Crouch girl who does the sizing. And this is the girl who does her own print. She's got her own designs in the shop here. Shiba-san. Those are some of you who know her, some of you don't, whatever. I'm glad. Good. Today, thank you. 小泉君と柴さんと、じゃあ3人パワーでしょ？大丈夫ですよ。Good. 10時から、パーティーまだ何も座ってない。ハキがまだ硬いとか、ごめん。10時からありました。10時からです。あります。ファミリーパック。じゃあ、子供？わかんない。桃太郎の方がいいかな。Let's see. Excuse me a sec while I look. Does it tell what his name is? Just a sec. Let me look it up. Hang on a moment. Let's see. Print party reservation. Patrick, group of 4. 大丈夫そうです。チビじゃないみたいです。そう。昨日もイギリスからのグループですが、8歳ですが、僕より上手。嘘じゃないです。後で小泉さんと話してください。僕より上手って言ってます。そう。So, with the print reservations, we see something. If it's a group of little kids coming, then we don't do the great wave or microwave. We switch out and put something else back on the table. And the reservation this morning is for a family pack, which means little kids. And yesterday we had a family group, and it was from Britain, 2 adults and a kid. And when they made the reservation, they'd said 2 adults and a kid. And I wrote back and I said, how old? And she wrote back and said, she's 8. And I first said, look, I'm sorry, we don't do little kids. They can't reach the table, they can't concentrate. Please, 10 and up is our normal level. And she said, trust me, it'll be okay. Whatever, what do you say? It was okay. This girl made a better print than I did. And with no joke, I don't have hers to show you because she took it home. She did a better print than I did. She spoke like an adult. She was from Britain. This young girl speaking in a British accent, and she's a little kid, little pigtails, ponytail, whatever. And my God, it was just so cool to speak to a child like that, but speak in an adult way. Don't speak down to her, just speak normal, explain things. Her dad's just gesturing, let her go, let her go. And I'm like, okay, let her go, let her go. And she did a fabulous, fabulous job. Really interesting experience. When she left, the rest of the staff here is just like in shock. What was that? She's 8 years old. I can't get her as an intern. 8 years old. The younger they are here, the better. Lei-chan, she's like 17, 1/4 my age, and she's so good. The younger, the better. Okay, here we are. I'm out of labels. We're done this first group. So thanks for your patience on this non-printmaking stream. I guess there's a bunch of new people and they're thinking, what's the point of Japanese printmaking on Twitch if you're just going to put stamps on envelopes? Sorry about that. Okay, here we are. We'll be out of here. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back doing something. I think perhaps a little printing on Chibi Heroes. I'm not really quite sure. I don't know. No idea. Am I the host for the parties? No. I for the first 2.5, 3 years here, I did every single print party in this building, except when I was off visiting my family. I had to set the tone and the taste. The staff had to get trained by watching me do it, showing them what I wanted. And now, bit by bit by bit, the staff has been getting better at this. Shiba-san will do this, probably this first print party this morning. Shiba-san and Koizumi-san are going to do it by themselves. So no, I am not the print host for everything anymore. I'm here in the building always, except when I'm visiting my family in Canada. And I'm around, but will I be your party host? No. Yes, maybe. Put your reservation in, luck of the draw. I do a lot of them, but I don't do all of them. I don't know what percentage. Anyway, don't sweat it. The kids we've trained here are really, really good at it. Even when I'm not the party host, the customers walk out dancing. They've had a really, really good time. We can't run this business based on personal service for me. There's no future in such a thing. We just simply can't do that. I've set the tone and the taste, and the staff does the rest of it. Anyway, okay, I'm out of here, guys. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow, I think. Same time, same place. Hopefully doing a bit more interesting work. I've got to get cleaned up now, ready for our day's work. Thanks again, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye. Where's the keyboard here? Hi. Stop streaming. Sayonara.